What's up guys, John from Keto Bars. Thanks for checking out my channel, First Time Founder. I literally just filmed the majority of this and my memory card ran out of memory and it stopped. And I always do these things like one shot. I'm not like a big video editor guy, frustrating, but I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna bring my energy. What's the Bill O'Reilly, have you guys seen that segment where he's like, well, do it live? Like, you know, one of those types of situations. Anyway, so I have been meaning to do my, Gary Vaynerchuk has his program, the 4D's program in New York City at Vayner Media. I, of course, did another video about how Molly and I were going to it. And this is like my reaction video. I just want to tell you guys what happened, how it went, and ultimately I'll tell you whether I think it was worth it. So the weekend started by Molly and I driving up to New York City on Sunday afternoon, because there was a dinner that they were hosting the night before. Basically, the premise of the dinner was that meet everyone, hang out, like get to know each other's businesses the night before, because like the next day is all business. And that ended up being very true. So we're really glad we went. We had a fun time hanging out. Of course, we didn't stay out super late because we knew we had a long day ahead of us. So we drive the 2.5 hours up to New York City. We go to this dinner. We stayed with a buddy of ours that actually lived walking distance to Vayner Media. We still took an Uber. Molly was wearing like some kind of heels or something, whatever. So we took an Uber in the morning. We get there at like 8:15, and straight up all day, we're there from 8 in the morning till 7 p.m. And that was 10 sessions. Just back to back to back. Of course, like bathroom breaks, but even like lunch was like, take a quick 5-minute break, but we're starting this next session, just eat while it's going on. The atmosphere is really casual, right? When we got there at 8, we're the only ones there. Like people didn't start rolling in till like 10, but I'll tell you what, when we left at 7, a lot of people were still there too. Definitely a young crowd. I think they said their average employee's age, if I'm not mistaken, is 28, which was like obvious too, looking around like, wow, this place is full of millennials. And I guess that's no surprise because I consume a lot of Gary's content on YouTube and stuff, but it was, you know, surprising to see in person. Anyway, so the 10 sessions were social media platforms, and like the ones, of course, that you're familiar with, but like I'm talking about some emerging platforms to keep an eye on. Voice, developing your personal brands, influencers, like how to build that team out, or how to build the relationships out. Of course, there was a session with Gary. There was a session with Gary's personal brand team, like D-Rock and them. An advertising one, company culture, digital strategy, and then creative. So those were all the different topics. Each one of them ranged from a half an hour to an hour. Gary's session was probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, so that was a lot longer. My favorite ones, I'll put Gary aside, right? Like obviously we're all excited to hang out and meet him and ask him, you know, whatever questions we want. I mean, it was great. We had free reign on that with his time. So that was great. But I'll tell you what, the 3 sessions that weren't Gary that had the biggest impact on me were definitely building a personal brand with Hannah Park. I've just always been a little hesitant to get like super involved. Of course, I'm saying this on my YouTube channel, which I just started doing like, you know, a month or 2 ago, and has almost no following. But like, I'm convinced now that like I have to put in a better personal effort growing my brand, and that will help Keto Bar's brand grow with it. So I'm convinced. I think they're right. Of course, that's what Gary does, right? Like basically they asked us like, why are you guys all here? Well, it's because we're all fans of Gary. We didn't know Vayner Media is secondary to us liking Gary. So of course his personal brand drove the business, the 4D's. It's definitely driving all that business. And that type of thing makes sense to me. Of course I want people to like me in general. And I think that would help with our brand as well. If people think that, you know, we're stand-up, straightforward, honest, and transparent, like that's gonna help our business. And that's really what we are. So that session was awesome. I really enjoyed the influencer session with Antonia Swan. I think we were doing a good job at that already, but it really helped us figure out how we want to move forward, set up a much better strategy, how to manage the relationships and not lose It's just confusing when you're like DMing people on Instagram all the time, you know, especially in the keto industry, right? Like everyone's name has the word keto in it, right? Everyone's name's Sarah. Like it's confusing. It's hard to keep track of it. And Instagram is not a platform built to manage your relationships there. So it gave us a much better idea of like how we want to move forward with our influencers. Also, it really helped us break down the different segments. So they were talking about like micro influencers, like medium size and growing influencers, and then of course like macro influencers have like 1 million followers or more and stuff like that, and how they treat them all differently and stuff like that. So that was really helpful. Lastly, the best session of the day for me was their advertising guy. His name's Jeff Nicholson. It opened up my mind to what is possible, what we should be doing, and what we're not. Quite frankly, like it's on me. We're doing a bad job. We're doing a bad job there, and it's very obvious. And it's obvious that other brands are coming at us and trying to suffocate us. I mean, some of the examples he gave in his session of different brands going at other people or trying to steal their words or their terms or their brand or all this different stuff. And I was just sitting there with my jaw open like, this is happening to us. Like, we're not doing it to anybody, but people are definitely doing it to us. And we need to defend ourselves. So one of the cool things about this session or this whole day is that they give you the whole deck. The whole presentation you get, it was 192 slides, if I remember correctly. So you're covering an immense amount of material. But they also give you everyone's email address. So like, I have all these presenters, I have all their contact information. I've already emailed a couple of them, mostly just to say like, thanks and like, I enjoyed your session. But with Jeff, like, I got a call set up with him for next week because like we need help. I need direction, and I certainly don't expect him to bend over backwards for us for free. I mean, we paid the price of admission to get into 4D's, so he's going to be happy to help. But I'm really curious to see like what direction he tells us to spend the most of our time on. I'm curious to see if there's a way that we can work together. I don't know how big of a client you have to be to work with Vayner Media. My guess is we would be on the very small side, but it's possible. It's possible that they work with some brands our size, especially like brands like us that are growing so quickly. We've doubled the past 2 years in a row, and we certainly will again this year. So I can't wait to talk to him. The ad strategy stuff, it just goes so deep, and we scratch the surface. So that was an amazing session. Gary in person, he's awesome. So it's just like his videos, right? Like he's super excited about helping people. He loves giving advice. And the truth is, it's like kind of funny. I've consumed enough of his content now that like I'm rarely surprised by what he says. It's also one of the reasons that sometimes it's hard for me to come up with questions for him, or like, what would I ask him in this scenario? Like, I don't always know, because the truth is, I kind of already know what he's going to say most of the time. Like, if you watch enough of his content, you get his vibe, you get the advice, and it's like, I feel like it's pounded into my head now where like, I know, I can hear him speak and how he would like answer. So like, you know, my question to him was basically, we've been slowly growing as a company from my kitchen over 4.5 years, growing to this 9-person company. We're really good at like figuring things out on our own, but the consequence to that is that we move slowly. The positive side is I never raise any money. We don't have company debt, like all this different stuff. There's big pluses and minuses, but like one of the minuses to the way we're doing it is that we move slower. Keto's blowing up, and we don't want to miss the boat. Like, we don't want to lag behind. I mean, there's brands that just launched in the past 6 months that are already in retail. We've been alive for 4.5 years, and we're not in retail yet. We will be this year. But like, you know, that kind of sucks. And I was just kind of like telling him our situation about how we want to move quick, but like moving quick isn't necessarily like what we're good at, and like what would be his suggestions from like hiring or our strategy moving faster and stuff like that. And it's like funny, nothing groundbreaking. He's basically like, dude, what do you want to do, man? You want to move quick, then maybe you need to raise money and fly and make big mistakes, and you're going to become more vulnerable. You don't want to become vulnerable? Then do things the way you've always done them and take the beating you're about to get from all these big brands moving into the keto space. So like, I already knew that, But it was comforting to hear him say that, because basically I just wanted him not to be like, dude, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this? Definitely do this. Like, it basically like confirmed that we're having the right conversations at Keto Bars. We're working on the right things, and we get to pick the direction we want to go. We get to pick our own destiny, and there's no easy road. When you choose a way, you give something up. And if you go the other way, you gave something up over here. It's just give and take. And of course, I've already known that, but it was nice to hear someone with his authority kind of reinforce that and say that to us. So that was my question. You can see our session, the part of our session where we just went around the table and asked questions to him, they actually published on his YouTube channel. I'll link this below, and you can check it out. It's over an hour long. So there's a lot of content in there. You can see Molly and I, we're like kind of in the front left of the conference room. So it's funny, during the whole video, you can pretty much see us just sitting there. I think our questions start at minute like 53 or something like that, if you're interested in hearing exactly what we asked. But the other content's really good too. So check that out. Was it worth it? Yeah, it was worth it. Is it worth it for everybody? No, honestly, it's not. You have to be really careful. You have to be careful on what your expectations are. So 2 years ago, to spend that amount of money to go to this class would have just eaten all our cash flow, and it would have taken a long time to recoup, because we just had so many other things we needed to do. Our infrastructure wasn't set up as well, and we're still working on that stuff. So if you only had $10,000, should you spend $10,000 on the 4D's class? Absolutely not. Don't do it. There's not going to be some epiphany. You're not going to get like one piece of information where all of a sudden the next day your sales go 10x. That's very unlikely. If you have $100,000, if you have $1 million, like, then is it worth it? I think so. You're going to get your money back eventually if you implement the strategies that you learn. Gary's emphasized a lot of times that self-awareness is one of the most important skills. I think we're pretty good at that. I think that's one of the things. I think everybody thinks they're good at it, so maybe that's not a surprise. But I do think I'm pretty good at it. And in all our sessions, I was able to kind of mentally grade us and say, hey, are we really good at this, or are we really bad at this? And we have a really wide range of where we landed there. So if you can accurately reflect on what you're bad at, and work really hard at understanding those sessions, of course going back through the deck, looking through the things that they kind of taught and suggested, and if you can implement that in your business, then there's no doubt you're going to get your money back. Again, it's not going to be tomorrow. It might take a month, it might take a year, it might take 2 years, like, I don't know. But yeah, for us, it was worth it. We're super pumped we did it. It was, I would say, a defining moment in Molly and I's like kind of educational career. It was awesome. It was really good. Other cool stuff. I would say that they do a big session, not a big session, it was actually short, but like they emphasize they have like a chief heart officer. And my favorite, I think we have a really good culture at Keto Bars. We're all friends. We're all happy to be there. Like, people, like, I genuinely think people enjoy their jobs and aren't cringing on Sunday night before they have to go in, and like, that means a lot to me, and that's really important for me that our culture remain that way. But I'll tell you what, the quote of the day is a sign that their chief heart officer actually hangs on their wall, and it says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I love that quote, because we have found it to be incredibly true in our business, in that a good example is that we inevitably screw stuff up. We screw up people's orders, they get fulfilled incorrectly, things will get lost, like, that just happens. And people are upset, and they should be, right? Like, they gave us money for something, a service, a product, and we didn't provide it. So they're naturally upset. Well, we treat those people, we try to treat them with extreme kindness. We apologize, and then we try to go over the top to fix the situation. Not only do we get them their product, but we'll generally do something else for them, give them a gift code or a gift card or whatever, even if it's just a sincere apology, and we tell them what actually happened and stuff like that. And we have noticed 1,000,000 times that they're like, wow, thank you so much for the customer support. I appreciate everything you said and did. And now I feel even better about working with you guys. And it's funny how something that started with us screwing up their order gave us a chance to not only like make things right, but treat that customer really well. And they feel it, they feel the love. And we've done that a ton of times. Some people don't want an apology, they just want to scream at you and they're never going to come back anyway, and there's nothing you can do about that. But we have to sleep good at night knowing that we did our best to make up for our mistakes and stuff like that. So I love that quote. I'm thinking about getting it printed and hung in our office too. Really meaningful. I truly believe that as well. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from the day too, was, and that's something I think we do well. So it reinforced that really well. Other than that, we got all of Gary's books. They gave us all 5 of them. They're all signed. I mean, his signature is like a little basic here, so not, he's just scribbling through these things. That's cool. I've read 2 of them. I've read Crushing It and Crush It, oddly similar names. I'm really excited about reading Jab, 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 Right Hook, which I haven't yet. So that's cool. They gave us all these books. They gave us some cool like notepads and stuff. We got this really cool Vayner Media backpack that I've been throwing my camera equipment in and stuff like that. Got to meet the guys from Empathy Wine, so that was really cool. So many people that I've interacted with were based in that office, so I got to meet them and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, I'll conclude the video. I know this got a little long. Was it worth it for us? It absolutely was. It was an awesome day. We learned a lot. We're gonna implement so many of these strategies, and yeah, we can't wait to see what 2019 has in store for us once we get this stuff done. So thanks for checking out this review. If you enjoyed this and some of my other content, please subscribe. It would mean the world to me. If not, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.